Hello and welcome to Short Points, where we share thoughts on the Sabbath school lessons. We are starting a new quarter and the theme for it is Present Truth in Deuteronomy. It's kind of obvious that you'll be looking at the book of Deuteronomy from the Bible, but it will be more of a themed study rather than going chapter by chapter. We'll be looking at some important truths and themes that are also relevant to us.
Deuteronomy is one of the oldest books in the Bible, supposedly written by Moses. It is interesting after so many years to pick his brains on what he, as the greatest leader of the nation of God, found it important to write about when finally the Israelites were crossing to Canaan. Is that book of any importance to us today? Is there a present message of truth that we need to hear as people who believe that we're at the gates of Jesus' second coming? The book of the covenant. This is how King Josiah called it after discovering and bringing it out of the dust of the temple's archives. It sounds like it's a document, like a lawyer's script, like a government piece of legislation, the book of the covenant. However, I think that it's more than that. There is life in it, only because it was meant to settle the principles of relationship between God and his people.
Israel failed to trust God the first time when they got to the promised land. Now, 40 years later, with a brand new generation, they're approaching it again. Before they engage on this adventure, Moses has some important messages for them, and this is what is recorded in the book of Deuteronomy. Before diving into the book, though, the author of the quarterly spent some time to establish a context so we can better understand the context of the content of the book. Preamble to Deuteronomy is the title of the first lesson, and it goes from who God is, how He created us, through how we decided to break from Him, and so on.
Some people say history repeats itself. Love and freedom were given to Lucifer, and he abused it by corrupting all around him with his own glory and for his own benefit. And he was cast down, demoted. Love and freedom were also offered to the people after Adam and Eve, who came to the point that every intent of their thoughts, of their heart, was only evil continually. And then the flood came. Love and freedom were offered to the children of Abraham, and they became one dysfunctional seed after another, one messed up family after another. Couldn't go through the desert for 40 days, but it took them 40 years, and some of them died there. I see a history of a context of a failed attempt to keep our end of the deal, our end of the contract. Does that matter for us today, waiting to meet God?
Okay, so even though humanity broke away from God and degraded terribly, God was looking for ways and avenues to convey His message, to help humanity see the way out of this misery, to learn to know Him, to be able to look beyond the limitations of our realities, and to open our minds and hearts for love, grace, peace, freedom. Abram answered the call of God and started a walk of faith. Through his descendants, God was slowly building a relationship and knowledge to benefit all of us. God then liberated Israel from Egypt's slavery, got into an agreement with them to lead them, to take care of them, to make them successful, as long as they listen, trust Him, and follow His directions. But even though they like that, they agreed to it, it wasn't an easy transformation.
So, what is my take on love and freedom? Two principles in which God's kingdom and rulership hangs on. In short, the book of Deuteronomy points out a direction of willful obedience and of an understanding of what is my part of the bargain. what I bring to the table of my relationship with God. Simply said, it is trust in his principles that govern by love and by freedom. So I'm asking myself, can I defy history? Can I break the power of the context that I have been born into and live as God intended me to live? Very personal questions, but they can lead me to a new land or not.
The events around this book of the Bible happened millennia ago. But the subject is still very relevant. What are the dynamics in a relationship with God? What is His plan? What can we learn from past experiences? Well, next week we will continue with the study Moses' history lesson.